Good evening, Miss Teasdale. How have you been since you returned home?
Dr. Reed. Oh, thank God you returned safely from these awful streets. I was so worried about my father that I left without thanking you properly.
Please don't mention it, miss.
Good. I found him, you know. My dad. Or what was left of him. I think my abductor intended to do the same thing to me.
What do you do for a living, Miss Teasdale?
Before my kidnapping, I was a waitress in a pub. Now I'm unemployed.
Were you fired?
No. It's just that after my recent experience, I don't feel like I can go back to my normal life. I need to do something useful.
Be very careful, Miss Teasdale. You were lucky to escape death once, but vampires lurk everywhere.
You killed my kidnapper by yourself, didn't you? No offense, Doctor, but you're just a doctor. I don't see why I couldn't do the same.
What do you intend to do?
Dad always told me, Louise, if you want something, don't stop until you have it. I did my research and I found it. Ichabod Throgmorton, professional vampire hunter. I'll be his apprentice.
What can you tell me about this area?
I've never really liked this part of town. It was where my father wanted to live. I won't remain here much longer.
What exactly don't you like about it?
People here are contemptuous and elitist. My dad always said, Louise, always treat people like you want them to treat you.
You seem to cherish your father a great deal.
Dad was the best. He kept an eye on me, but let me make my own mistakes. Louise used to say, mistakes are the best teacher. You would have liked him.
I'm sorry you didn't have the opportunity to say goodbye.
That's all right. He's buried in consecrated ground now. Nothing bad can happen to him.
Louise, what can you tell me about the vampire who captured you?
The little fucker claimed he'd fallen in love with me. That he wanted to spend eternity with me. Not a bad idea. At least that's the way it seemed at first.
Really? Did you consider accepting his proposal?
Well, immortality. Not a common wedding gift, is it? I think he just wanted to have his way with me. Can vampires even fuck, Doctor?
What? Well, I really can't answer that. Well, since they are creatures of blood, physically speaking, I suppose an erection is possible, but
Don't be embarrassed, Dr. Reed. I was just asking.
Why did your father feel guilty? He seemed so eager to welcome you back, as though he'd done something wrong.
Last time we saw each other, we had a terrible argument. I left the house and ended up in a pub. That's where the vampire met me. Dead drunk.
I see.
We argued a lot, me and Dad. But I always came home. I'm sure that's why he went to find me. He knew something bad had happened.
Your father never gave up on you. In the end, he risked everything to save the daughter he loved.
Yeah, that was my dad. Tough bastard, just like me. Even if I'd broken his leg, he would have gone looking for me.
What do you mean?
That last argument we had, it was more of a fight, actually. He slapped me and I kicked him hard in the balls.
Louise, tell me what you really think about your father's sacrifice to save you.
I'm proud he went after me. I forgive him all his harsh words, all his bloody attitudes. I only wish I could tell him how much I loved him.
Yes. It can be traumatic not having the chance to say goodbye to those we love.
Yes, Doctor. And there's no treatment for that type of pain, isn't that right? That may be the last thing my father taught me.
Goodbye, Miss Teasdale. And be careful. Until we meet again.
It's always been your house, Dad. Not mine.
Remember, don't let any strangers come into your house.
Good evening, Miss Teasdale.
Can I help you, Dr. Reed?
Do you need my medical attention, miss?
I don't need your help specifically. I can assure you there are many competent doctors around.
I have no doubt about it, but I'm offering you my help anyway.
All right then. But please leave me alone for now.
Come with me.
Women of all countries unite!
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
My father always said, even those few who offer help always want something in return. And he was right.
buy something or not, I am happy to help. Good evening.
So, did you try the restaurant I recommended?
Oh, yes, I can't thank you enough, my dear doctor. Exquisite, but expensive. But what is money made for, if not for little pleasures?
Don't you think your money could be better spent in these difficult times?
Your words hurt, Doctor. I thought you and I were friends. But since you ask, I'm rich enough to finance my passions and various charities across the city.
Perhaps my words were too harsh. Please forgive me if I've upset you.
Oh, no harm done. After I die, all my fortune will go to the suffering people of the East End. Until then, I aspire to live the most pleasant life possible.
I may have a look at your goods, Mr. Russell. Good evening.
I won't.
You need some rest, Clarence. We meet again, Mr. Kimura, in a more peaceful situation.
Dr. Reed, still visiting London by night?
We must both be nocturnal animals, you and I. After your captivity, I thought you'd be more cautious.
Breathing the cold night air helps calm my mind, sir. I've had the most frightening nightmares since I escaped that filthy jail.
How is the situation in the West End?
I've heard rumors about armed men patrolling and fighting infected citizens in these very streets. I was lucky they didn't shoot me when I was abducted.
May I ask you what you do for a living, Mr. Kimura?
I was a landlord. A wealthy one. And not a very kind one, I realized recently.
Why this sudden epiphany? Is it because of your near-death experience?
I was already feeling nostalgic about Weymouth, my hometown. With recent events, I'm thinking about going back there.
What can you tell me about your abduction?
If you really want to know, I was locked in that building for 3 or 4 days. My jailer was insane, mumbling about sacrifice and voices.
And why didn't he sacrifice you?
That was the weirdest part. He claimed to spill blood was not enough. It had to be done when some stars were aligned.
Which stars?
That's the whole point. He wanted me to talk to him about some Red Queen configuration or constellation. I've never heard of such an astronomical term.
What did he say about voices?
He constantly whined about the voice of his master, ordering him to do terrible things. He wanted to silence the voice by offering blood. My blood.
Why are you so nostalgic for your hometown, Tadao?
I was focused so much on making money, I almost forgot that my relatives and friends are threatened by this epidemic.
Have you heard anything from your family?
I was not only a bad landlord, I was also a bad husband. I've not seen my wife and son for years. Busy, busy, busy.
At least now you're... ready to go back and see them. But don't be surprised if your son bears a grudge, sir.
You make it sound like you suffered from an absent father yourself, Dr. Reed. Well, I'll keep your warning in mind.
Have you no friends at all?
Over the years, I'm afraid my greed turned me into my friend's adversary, while I became friends with my professional rivals.
Those you grew up with didn't share your views on money and success.
Would you believe I was once a member of poetry circles and an astronomy club? We were young, such joyful dreamers then. But I stopped laughing long ago.
Can you change? And is it what you really want? If so, it must come from within, not without.
I've seen what an altruistic gesture can do. Nothing forced you to save me, Dr. Reed, but you did. I will follow your example in these matters from now on.
There is no need to thank me. Rescuing a London citizen should not be out of the ordinary, though I'm afraid it may appear so in these difficult times.
You did not only rescue me, you fought for me. You put your life in danger to save me. That's quite extraordinary.
How will you cope if you're attacked again?
I don't know. I've heard about these men and women who patrol the West End every night, chasing criminals like my abductor. Maybe I should join them.
Tell me, Tadao, why was your abductor so interested in your passion for astronomy?
I dunno. We met a few times at the Royal Greenwich Observatory. He seemed to share my hobby. Then he invited me to his house and locked me in.
Yes, astronomy is a fascinating subject. When I was a child, my mother bought a small telescope for my sister and I. We spent many a pleasant evening stargazing.
Stars are not just dots in the sky, Doctor. They are the key to our understanding of the cosmos. They remind us how insignificant we are.
You're right. But children love magic and stories. I remember our mother told us constellations have the power to protect us.
Protection by the light of the stars. That's sweet. You remember the name of these constellations?
Draco. My favorite constellation.
Memory's a strange thing. I can recite without hesitation the names of the 88 constellations, yet I barely remember my own childhood.
Did he fake his interest in astronomy to get close to you?
No. In his madness, he spoke about a blood sacrifice to be made to his master when the stars aligned to a specific configuration.
Goodbye, Mr. Kimura. Take care.
Anything to connect me to this city anymore?
Dr. Reed, still conducting your nocturnal survey?
What are you investigating, exactly?
Well, my 2 missing persons cases have been solved. By you, it seems. Are you just that lucky? Or do you know something I don't?
I was lucky enough to find them both while conducting my investigation in this part of town.
Why do I still have the feeling that you're hiding something? What about the abductor? Was it the same person?
I don't think so. You had better interview Miss Teasdale and Mr. Kimura on that matter. All I did was to lead them safely home. Goodbye, Detective Inspector Albright.
Goodbye, Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Good evening.
You know you...
May I...
It's always a... Dr. Reed, I am glad to see
It's one of them! Back to the shadow! Remember your role! We have to stop him! Over there! There's one of them vermin!
Fancy
You know... Right then.
me to revive you. I'm...
Good evening, Christina.
Change your...
Do you need any...
It...
I've... Goodbye.
Good evening.
Do you need...
That would be nice.
If...
Thank
Goodbye.
The disease upon us is not an accident of nature, but the punishment of a divine will. You are blinded by your false faith!
This is my territory!
Good evening, Mr. Swanborough.
Is it you, Dr. Reed? Please come in.
What kind of gentleman pays visits to people at this late hour?
What can I do for you, Doctor?
So did you decide not to take the experimental cure for blindness?
Oh no, I have. For a few hours.
But you are still... What do you mean? I don't understand.
I saw the world again, Dr. Reed. For a few hours I witnessed how ugly and sad and tragic this city is.
I'm sorry the effect didn't last.
You don't get it, do you? I crafted a new formula that made me blind again. The world is a cesspool, Dr. Reed, and I don't want to look at it. can see again. I can see this room, I see my blood, I see you, my killer.